our last formal presentation, at the end of the day. I think as Henry Ford said, if I asked my customers what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. So what do customers really know? To take us further and to lead us in, I'm sure, a very entertaining discussion, presentation. I don't know how many of you have seen Carl present and speak before. I have, and I look forward to it every time. It's always different. He's a distinguished fellow from the Centre for Legal Innovation, Chief Experience Officer of CXinLAW. He's another refugee, both from old law, but also from the old dark, albeit 150 years later than when most of us saw the light and came out here, Carl. He's also Father of the Year 2019, so he tells me. Big round of applause for Carl. And it's also his birthday. So it's only downhill from here, Carl.
Hello. Kind of a 7 out of 10. That's once more we're feeling. Hello. But I think we can still do even better. So just ever so quickly, as Paul said, I think we need to see the world from a different point of view. Just get a new perspective. So you've been sitting in pretty much something the same seats for almost 2 days. So I want you as fast as you can now to shake as many hands as possible, particularly those you may not even still want to say hello to. And then I want you to find a new table to sit on. And there should be about 6 people per table. Those at the back probably need to come forward as well. You've got 30 seconds to say hello to as many people as you can, and your time starts now.
Nice to see you again. I enjoyed your presentation.
Alright, let's keep going. So I want to give you an opportunity to create some new impressions upon each other and receive some impressions of each other, knowing that in a nutshell, client experience is any mode where an impression of what you're like to deal with is made upon other people, right? So just an opportunity to make that impression. And I just want to go one step further with this. You each have a card on your table. You should have a sharp pen only one card. You may have to share the sharp and see that now. Just take this one step further. I would just like you to, now that we've arrived at this point, oh my gosh, 3 o'clock, it's that time. I'd like you to give yourselves a number out of 10, where 10 is you've never felt as good as you feel right now, and 0 is you're flatlining. And you need to write that number, synthesize it onto your card here. So we'll do that now. 0 is flatlining. Give yourself a number out of 10. Don't overthink this noise in the room. 0, you're flatlining. 10 is you've never felt as good as you feel right now. Or somewhere in between. Okay, let's just see who else in the room. That's where we find out where I'm letting myself in for the next half an hour or so. Just hold up your cards as quickly as possible. I'm just going to take this photo to some ground. There we go, very good. What have we got? 9, 7, 3. Okay, so there isn't actually anyone active. So everyone does seem to have a pulse, which is good. We have to hold some people back up there at a 10. So that number is going to be important, or this idea of how we come across, and giving that a score on the board will become evident as we move through this, I think. By the way, who are you going to look for in that photograph? Yourself. Yeah, because of course it's all about you, isn't it? It's all about you. At least it is about you, in as much as, thank you, in as much as, you know, all your clients are customers just like you are. And from that point of view, it's really important to think about yourself and think about your own experiences of service as an everyday recipient of service providers, even on the high street. I don't think this is what Kurt Cobain actually said in this song. You know, I don't care how you feel or what you think, as long as it's about me. Or you, or the customer in this case. It's really important to adopt that point of view for this. And in doing that, we also kind of understand what we have experienced. Have a look at this.
Targets were neutralized on the edge of that tower. Checking into the penthouse. The name is Hunter.
Certainly, Mr. Hunter, I have your reservation in here.
Wait, did you say Hunter?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't have a Hunter.
Could you email the confirmation to my watch?
Well, marketing handles emails. Oh, I have a Hanson.
No, it's Hunter. Picture my room on your app.
Oh, we have so many apps open.
I'm a platinum member. I can have a promotion.
Promotions are on a different system, but I do have a single on the ground floor, Mr. Hanson.
It's Hunter. My name is Hunter.
It's good that maybe we've not had quite as much of a dramatic service experience. We kind of get where that's coming from, which is why I think it's really important, again, just to emphasise that point. Seeing the world from your own point of view as a customer of different service providers. And it's a really important point of view to encourage, I think, all of your teams to also adopt, because for some reason it's kind of, when you start talking about clients, it's kind of, oh yeah, clients are those other people over here, that's something other than us. Well, actually, again, clients are customers just like you. So the sooner you can start having that conversation within your organisation, the better it's going to be for this process that I'm talking through at the moment. So, you know, we all know what a great service looks like, what it feels like, and we essentially want it. Yeah. I thought I'd just flash this up, because we've never been so attuned to our customer and our client experience. You know that because you're all, again, recipients of different services. The chap on the left is actually Harry Gordon Selfridge, of Selfridge's fame. And before law, I worked in retail. Before that, I worked in theatre. And for me, really, the whole idea that what we do in law and also in counselling is a service performance, and bringing these elements together is, I think, another really important thing to understand. But when I worked in retail, I worked for a company called Muji, a Japanese retailer. We had 50 stores across Europe, and I was the trading manager for Muji. And our concession in Selfridges was store 015. And it was one of the most profitable stores that we had in our network. Harry Gordon Selfridge knew about this stuff 100 years ago. He founded Selfridges in 1908. And he was a real pioneer. He was an innovator way back then in terms of thinking about service. He actually said that service, or more specifically retail, is theatre, the theatre of retail, he called it. And he brought it to life in that way. He was the first retailer to really kind of democratise shopping. So it's Harry Gordon Selfridge who said, you coined the phrase, you know, just browsing, just having a look, at what could be bought. Previous to Selfridges, you know, all these clothes and different things you could buy were tucked away in a cabinet, you know, and they had to be brought out to be worn, and he had to be serviced by a sales system. But he turned this into a piece of theatre. He was also the person who coined "the customer is always right." That was him, and he took that seriously. He stood by that. In addition to that, he was really the first in the retail world, in the service world, to kind of really focus in on the sales assistant, to know that those individuals are the ambassadors of the brand Selfridges. He paid them better than anyone else. They had better treatment than any other retailer at the time as well. So I think, starting to think about the performance of service, it really started with Harry Ward and Selfridge. But of course, the more modern example, arguably, is Apple. The office that we have in Melbourne actually is above the Law College and below the Apple training rooms. All Apple staff receive at least 2 or 3 weeks of dedicated customer service training before they ever step foot on the sales floor. I wonder how many of us could say we've had that time and attention and space to do the same in accounting or in law. Apple, just to stay with retail for a moment, they are the most profitable per square foot of any retailer in the world. So per square foot, they earn about $6,500 per square foot. That's 3 times as much as Tiffany, and they sell jewels. Clearly, what we're buying, the product we're buying is fantastic, and we've been in conversations about it throughout the last couple of days. But what I really like about Apple is how they approach this, how they approach service, the idea, and they call it, the phrase they have for it is an all-around mandate. I love that phrase. It's everyone's responsibility to bring the service performance to life, right from the greeting at the front of the store. In what way, if at all, is a remarkable level of service an all-around mandate for your team, for your organisation, in terms of bringing it to life? That's certainly what we need to engender as we think about client experience. Now, I'm just going to come to this for a moment because we're talking about the retail experience. And if you've dealt with this slide with me before, then your role is to help others. Okay? So it's really important to see the world differently, see it from a customer's point of view, adopt the service user's perspective. So here we have a slide of an MRI scan. And for an adult, and indeed for a child, that could probably look a little bit scary. Yeah? In your table groups, I'd just like to set you just a 1-minute design exercise, service design exercise, and I'd like to think about in your table what you would do to take some of the fear factor out of this MRI experience for a small child, or even for an adult. And I'd like to come up with just some options, some creative options to make this an easier experience, perhaps, for those who have to experience. You've got 1 minute, that's it, that's all we have time for. Come up with some ideas. Don't fall out limited time, so I'm not going to go around every table and grab your ideas. Just to say, I think potentially for your clients of your professional service firm, I wonder whether their expectation of the experience they're about to embark upon, the client journey they might be taking their first steps into. I wonder whether, if at all, that might be actually how it looks. Does that make sense to you? Rolling into this MRI scan. Bearing in mind that in law, most of law is a grudge purchase, right? I don't need to offend anyone in the room. We'd rather not. So I wonder if any of your ideas were anything like that. And isn't that amazing? And You can only arrive at that if you were looking at the world through the eyes of a child, which, don't you think? Which touches on some lovely ideas we've already kind of had throughout the years, in terms of, how you view things, listening, understanding, and so on. The amazing thing about this is that they've actually had better medical results from this. It's not just lessening the fear factor, but the actual medical outcomes have improved through lessening the fear, let's say, of this experience. And it's not just about the environment. I want to help to draw some parallels here. It's not just about making it look different in this way. It's about how, I guess, we're all cast members in the delivery of service to our clients, as Disney would say. We're all cast members. So when the child arrives at the hospital, the nursing staff are involved. They're part of the cast. They're on stage. They have a pirate's hat. They come and put that pirate's hat on the child, choose your own adventure, and they create this journey right from the start. Yeah. So to go back to the secret agent video that I showed you, it's almost like that kind of concierge, which is a word that's also come up in the last couple of days. Concierging the patient or concierging the client right from the outset of a relationship, a new relationship, let's say, into the journey that you're about to embark, doing that in a particular kind of way. And by the way, pirate hat on child nursing staff just involved. Again, it comes back to that all-around mandate. That all-around mandate is totally a team sport. It's an opportunity to involve all of your team members in a purposeful and understanding of your clients and bringing that to life. So if we do take a closer look at a client journey from a legal perspective, and this is what we've kind of come to understand as being the flow, the workflow, if you like. And it's a very high-level version of that. But we know that there are 5 key points in a client's journey as they roll into that MRI scan. And we know that there are lots of key touch points all the way through this. And some of them are presented there for you now. And any one of these is a golden opportunity, and in between as well, isn't it, to have a particular type of interaction and to bring the service to life. Yeah. And actually, even knowing how you do it, because most law firms and professional service providers just do things by default. They do things by accident and not necessarily by design. I'm not talking about over-designing this. We can't be an individual. We can't bring our own style to being a trusted advisor. But most law firms make their clients go, ouch, all over this, and they have no idea that they're making that happen to their clients. They also do a good job of this, of course they do. But one particular point at the end here, I thought this is kind of the origin story of CXinLAW, which is kind of over here. The matter debrief, the AAR, let's call it that, and the lack of one, was a firm I've been working with as a private client in London for about 7 years. And I had a small property portfolio before I came out to Australia. I've been with the same partner for about 7 or 8 years. We separated horribly, we didn't have kids at the time, we fought over the property. And the law firm dealt with all of that work. They also dealt with a little bit of business work, and they dealt with this small buy-to-let portfolio. And I just had to do a small amount of residential work. It's a residential matter. And I wasn't quite satisfied on this particular occasion. So I did what I think customers now do. You escalate it. You escalate that. You're more proactive about that. By the way, measuring customer satisfaction, if you're measuring customer satisfaction, most law firms don't have any measures around this anyway, but if you're measuring customer satisfaction, you're already going backwards. It's not about customer satisfaction. This is about how you build a remarkable level of service. A remarkable level of service. You need to aim for and measure that, not just a satisfied customer. Satisfaction is no longer enough in today's service world, where you all know your experience in service from different people day in, day out. So back to the story. So I called the law firm up, and I said, oh, hello, it's Carl. And I'd like to get some feedback, please. Is there anyone I can speak to? What do you think was the initial reaction of the receptionist at that point to that query? Panic, go on, humour me with your answers. Sorry? Yeah, and Frosty. Yes. It was kind of what it was kind of an audible sense of confusion. It was like, and then the response came, we don't have anyone here who deals with feedback. Isn't it? But we do have a partner who deals with complaints. So that's okay too. So you have to have a partner who you have to have a complaints partner. So what I did, thought, okay, can I speak to the complaints partner? What do you think the answer was? Not really. Right. So over a 24-hour period, a 2-day period, I tried to get in touch with the complaints partner. Do you think I was successful? So I escalated again. I went to the website. I had never been the managing partner. There he is, and I'll email him. And I emailed him, not being a service terrorist, a very nice guy on the and I didn't get anything for another 24 hours until then I got an email that wasn't intended. From the manager, this should be striking the fear of God into you. En route from the managing partner, who do you think it's going to? The complaints partner. Yeah. And I know I'm really building this up, I need to let you down. But I'll never forget one line in that email was, should we take this client seriously? It's something, isn't it? Like 7 years worth of working relationship with you. Should we take this client seriously? What would be your response to that? Yes. What would you have done if you were the client at this point? I mean, it was so bad I chose to move to Australia, that's how bad it was. I mean, I suggested that they contact me and they never did. They never did a response might have been, I'm terribly sorry, that you read that. I'd love the opportunity to have a discussion. When will be a good time for me to come and see you, or could you come in? That would have been the bounce back, and they could have literally done some service recovery there, right? But none of that. So they lost the lifetime value of what's now CXinLAW, a small but international business, let alone everything else. I don't know if anyone knows the lawyer to do with So, what I'm saying is I'm trying to illustrate here that things happen all the way along this client journey, don't they? And this firm, to this day, have no idea that happened. And the reason is, no interest in feedback, no system for feedback, no culture of feedback there as well. So really what I'm saying here is this is a treasure hunt of opportunities for your professional service in terms of where are the highs, where are the lows, what can we enhance, what can we eliminate, what can we simplify, that type of thing. And now we've been working with boards for the last couple of years, and one of the most recent exercises was to actually interview 20 of their clients, which is a mammoth exercise actually. 10 private clients, which is actually quite unusual to be kind of interviewing private clients in terms of their experience, family clients and so on, and 10 commercial clients. And from that, there were over 100 possibilities, 100 ideas came out of that in terms of ways in which this experience could be enhanced. And so that actually proves to be quite difficult for us, and it was a learning experience for us as a provider as well. Over 100 possible ideas, and actually version 1, was here are the 100 ideas. Here are the 100 possibilities. Now that, as Jeff Bezos says, not eating the complexity on behalf of the client, presenting 100 ideas. So we had another go at this. We were able to reduce that down to about 24 actionable improvements. And we also arranged those then on kind of a matrix here in terms of effort and impact. But what I really want to focus in here is, what's basic, what's a satisfier, and what's a delighter, because that's really what you're trying to think about here. What's the service basic that if it wasn't there, you wouldn't actually become a service terrorist? Right? So I'm a really boring idiot. Whenever I go out, I just talk about service. So I don't want to bore you, but I'm going to give you some experience at this hotel. So when I wasn't sure what to do with my car, so it took me 4 phone calls for the phone to be picked up by this hotel to actually ask that question, Do you have a car park? Is there someone to park this car? And on every occasion when I picked up the phone, there was, hello, Novotel, do you mind holding? Hold. And on the fourth occasion I said, I would mind holding. And I asked the question. And he said, well, it's $25 a night, and so on and so forth. So that was my very first impression. My very first impression. It does get better. My very first impression. And that actually made me into a detractor immediately. Think about your organisation and always your customer experience here, those dissatisfiers, right? I got to my room and I was kind of eager to watch CNN to find out what's going on. And I couldn't turn on the TV, try as I might. And I had no idea why, thinking back, I had no idea why this wasn't, I can do this. So I ended up calling reception and he said, oh, it's your key. I was like, oh, of course it is, it's the key card, I haven't put the key card in. And so I thought, okay, key cards. And then I went, and then I suddenly put the phone down, and I couldn't find anywhere to put the key card in. So where does the key card go? And I spent 5 minutes, more probably, looking around. It can't be in the bathroom, can it? Is it by the bed? And then eventually you go back to the door, and you realise that it is by the door. But actually, it's really unusual because you don't put it in the top, do you? You put it in the bottom. And so it's like, and it was really embarrassing for me as well, because of course it's the key card, and then 10 minutes trying to find a way to, and then I was able to turn the TV on. So, these things are dissatisfied. My grandmother always said you can tell a place by its bathrooms. So this is kind of an example of a satisfier, because the bathroom's actually, really quite nice. You can improve the bathroom. You could improve the hot water. You can improve the water pressure. You can have a nice rain shower thing going on. You can maybe do the bit of the routing or whatever it is. But you can only go so far with that. Does that make sense? It's not going to maybe go jazz hands. The bed of the bathroom, right? So bathroom tick. But then, of course, I arrived at the hotel, and I got a lovely, warm, concierge-style greeting. Lovely smiley face. And it really made a difference to me, particularly given this experience down here. And he said, I said, oh, can I park my car? He said, well, actually, why don't you, just take you a moment, why don't you park it out on the street out here? Because after 8 o'clock, it's absolutely free until 8 in the morning. It will save you $25. Now, I'd rather not have to pay $25 in the first place, of course. But it was a good solution, and it was helpful, and it was thoughtful, and it was just a small moment of delight. So, this is important because you and all of your team members also need to be thinking about your everyday experiences, finding parallels, things you can borrow, opportunities, and applying those to your firm, like walking into a law firm in the morning at 8:45 for a meeting is a fascinating thing to do. Because what happens is you come in and you sit and you wait for the person you're having a meeting with, and you see everyone else coming into it. I suppose this goes back to my theatre background. But you see people coming into work, not just coming into work, coming to work like this, coffee, like this, heads down, coffee in hand, straight to the desk. Forgetting entirely that they're on stage, the curtain is up. Where's the magic? Oh, are you being assisted? Can I help? Or even just eye contact, even just some acknowledgement within the reception area. The experience is right there, the magic starts right there. Reception sets the tone for the quality legal conversation that's about to happen. Your receptionist is potentially the most important person in the business right there. More important than any lawyer, more important than any accountant. And the possibility to write it there, obviously, as well. So that's the Moore's experience, and that's still being worked on across the period of time. The results of doing this kind of thing, of looking at your client journey, is perhaps best represented with this wonderful visual from Lynn & Brown, which is another fantastic firm we're working with in Perth and are here today. This was a year-long project looking at what do we know about our clients, what do we know as operators of the business, because the wonderful thing about getting engaged in this with your team is your staff, your team know a lot of the answers already. It's about unlocking that, and it's a cliche, but unlocking that potential within your team to start having these conversations. Focused with purpose on how we can actually build a better business without creating some app and getting in this technology, whatever it is, but start redesigning the business, start innovating our client experience. So look at all these touch points. They've looked at every single one of them in the last year or so. They've had projects, teams working together, the first impressions team. In fact, it's funny, wasn't it? Because we were talking about the end of the journey, remember? And we were hoping that it was going to be the final shebang. Remember we gave the title, the final shebang. What we realised when we were journey mapping with the entire team was it was more a final whimper. Is that the phrase? We kind of don't go out with very much of a bang with our clients, so we're willing to pay that attention. But I think the wonderful thing is here, they've captured it, they've created a new blueprint for how they do their work. It's, I guess, a touchstone there for their team as well. And there are possibilities, I think, to use something similar to this with your clients. Don't your clients want to know where they're going? Don't they want to be onboarded like you might with a Qantas flight? Well, Qantas normally get things right. When they get things wrong, they do get things wrong, but they mostly get things right. Oh, hello, Mr. White, welcome back. Sits over here, they'll say, onboarding the client. And perhaps here's a useful piece of collateral as well. Here's what will happen first. You know, might get a little bit challenging here, but we're here to support you. We're going to arrive at this point here, and you literally you concierge your client through the journey they're about to embark on. All these possibilities, both as operators and also with your clients. It does start with understanding your client better. It was interesting yesterday because I think of all the groups actually, the client group, which I was in, actually struggled most with the exercise. We really just struggle with that. It's like, well, what type of client are we dealing with? You know, what is this client's motivation? You know? So this is a really critical point of view. This is a really critical conversation with your team. Is to think about who we serve, who we want to serve, who can we do our best work with. But what is happening in the client's world? So we don't have enough time really to do this, but I am just going to show you this collateral. So on your tables, you've got this A3 handout, and if you could just kind of get that out, just so you can kind of maybe talk through. You've got two on your table. I will just give you a sense of this, and you might actually decide to either take this away or photograph it or contact me and do this with your team as maybe a little kind of team exercise. But you can see what's happening there. This is kind of, it's called client personas. It's also partly about empathy mapping with your clients. And you can see there, what we're trying to do is see the world from the client's point of view. If they're in a divorce situation, if they're in a law situation, even if they're in a commercial situation, what are they seeing, hearing, feeling, and needing to do right now in their world? And having that conversation and being able to actually document that and discuss that is a really great starting point. But we're going to zoom through that a little bit because I actually just want to show you this. Look, I know everything there is to say about this statement, right? If you go to any law firm's website, we've had this discussion already, they're all going to say the same thing about themselves. We love saying good things. This is one example. And for the purpose of this, I actually, for the first time ever, went to this law firm that I told you about earlier, the one I had that experience with. And I thought, let me just see what they actually say about themselves. Now, of course, it's not just about what's on the website. Therefore, that articulates everything we want to deliver. But this is what they said about themselves. I actually find this a bit annoying. That's amazing, isn't it? Isn't it amazing? I mean, focus on winning the cause, the client's individuality, versus my experience. yeah, versus my experience. And what's interesting, I don't want to overplay this statement, but we could call it service promise. We could. It would be far better if we could come up with this collaboratively as a team, our purpose, our why, what we want to deliver to our clients. We could call it a service promise. What's interesting is when you show a law firm, an accounting firm, their own service promise, only one or two in the time we've been doing this have been able to recognise their own. Most people from these organisations look at it with blank stares, a slightly worried stare eventually. First of all, a blank stare, then it becomes a slightly edgy kind of feeling, and then a kind of a concerned, is that us? Is that what we say about ourselves? Then there's a very heated discussion about, well, that sounds shit, doesn't it? What does that mean? That's meaningless. It's meaningless. I mean, I certainly don't make a judgment call on the statement itself. I think the important thing here is, if your team don't even recognise, if you want something to us in the first place, they don't even recognise it, how could they possibly bring it to life on a moment-by-moment basis throughout the client's relationship? And on top of that, if you don't even recognise it, then understanding what does this look like, what does it sound like at every point of the migration. And that's what Lynn and Brown and Moores have been doing. What does this look like and sound like at every point? How do we bring this to life at every point? How do we make this part of our design? What are all the plus ones and the minus ones here in order to enhance the client's experience with very profitable results, by the way? So I'm just going to focus you in now. If you've done this before with me, help others. Let's just imagine that you are a client, and you can choose perhaps a particular area of work if you want to, it's up to you. You're about to make let's call it a phone call to a law firm because you do have a legal need. I just want you to come up with the 5 expectations you might have of that law firm. Don't overthink this, just come up with 5, do that in your table groups. If you've done this before, then facilitate your table. Right? 5 basic expectations of that first contact with your chosen firm. First contact.
They should be doing this.
And it doesn't have to be a law firm, by the way. It's law firm.
I know sometimes we get she's going out she's beforehand, so you just feel like
Basic expectations.
I'm actually there to bring
all the numbers you come up with is totally about 5. Just choose your top 1 or 2 kind of requirements, basic expectations. 1 or 2 from your end. Okay, fine. I'm just going to get 1 or 2 examples now as well. And we're going to do this with pace. Oh, don't ask that. Ask the phone with a bit of a smile. Okay. Right, demanding customer over here. Okay, good. Over here. Directly to the wider person. Okay. Okay, that's great. Just one thing. 1 expectation. Okay, yeah, we have a conversation and through that we're able to listen to. You're running away. Oh, yes, okay, yeah.
We have a commitment to take all return calls.
Okay, so as some of you will be aware, some of what we do in terms of CX, client experience insight, is actually mystery shopping law firms, professional service organizations, so posing as potential clients. And the sound that you hear most often is not the sound of, oh, listening and engagement and smile and so on. It's actually the sound of inconvenience. It's a sound of inconvenience. It's a sound of interruption. Thinking that you know, for one firm we're working with, it takes, I think it's about $4,500 for every converted inquiry into a client. And also thinking that, you know, of all your potential pool of wonderful clients with whom you can do your best work most profitably, only about 10% of that audience might actually view their issue as legal, and only a smaller number out of that 10% actually then bother to call you, to make contact with you, which I think is amazing as well. So if I've just chosen to call you, just you listening now, then you've got to do the hood version, to go back to the earlier. You've got to do the hood version or the net version of being, and I love Paul's phrase, irresistible through some of these human skills and processes that we're kind of talking about here. Yeah? I mean, here's the reality. Depending on the service reality, and here we're just talking about the first point of contact, we could be talking about the whole journey, and of course at the end. I mean, I'm sure you recognise these people. Some of you may not recognise him. I know that you can say, of course, but actually more and more people are not recognising him. To the point where last year I put out on LinkedIn, who should we replace the Fonz with? And everyone seemed to say Ellen. We do need some gender diversity in there as well. But I couldn't bring myself to get rid of the Fonz just yet. So we've got a very attractive looking detractor. So the experience, again, remember the service base is so bad that it actually, not only did we not want to engage that firm, but we came off that inquiry we would as a potential client and tell other people how terrible it was. Immediately, everyone around you how bad. Yeah? Then in the middle, you know, unimpressed Simon Cowell here, the passive, the indifferent. The sound that makes is, or yeah, neutral, the sound of indifference. That's a huge opportunity for professional service providers, let me tell you. And then we all know the sound that the Fonz makes, of course, is hey. And what's amazing, I think, when you do have a really solid, perhaps even wonderful first contact, where, to use that phrase from earlier, a connection is made, or a connection is made, that you do actually leave that communication, immediately you kind of go, wow. And you tell other people around you immediately how good that was. That's gold, don't you think? It's absolute gold. So choose your favourite swear words in terms of, you know, how the service reality and how that's gone. The sound he would make is huh or yeah. And he may not go hey because we are talking about law, we are talking about accounting. But he might make this sound. He might make a sound that goes like this. What's that? This is really important. Right? The sound is, what is that the sound of? Curiosity and pleasant surprise. Oh, that was nice. That was a little bit better. Oh, how, you know, oh. Yeah, it's that sound. And actually, your entire business, everyone in your business needs to be geared towards helping clients and customers to go, that is it. That is your mission. Your mission actually looks a bit than that. Turn every one of your clients as much as you're able into promoters. The law is just something you can only want to do. Don't need to offend anyone. And also accounting is just something you do. Your mission is to turn clients into promoters. Let's just see how much further we can go. So we've got the definitions. We know what we're talking about here. You know what we're talking about here because you have this experience every day with service providers. I thought it might be interesting for you to read just some observations from your first contact, in this case with law firms. This is from our mystery shopping research. I just thought it might be interesting for you to take a look at the, oh yeah, or the, or the, Do you know what I mean? Can you see the learning in there already? Can you see the process, the client-centric process in there that needs to be attended to? Can you see the human skills that are required to bring that to life more effectively? The middle one is interesting. You know, again, if this potential client has gone to the effort of choosing you and having that first conversation, then maybe this isn't quite the right phrase, but as a professional service provider, your job is to help us to buy. It's a point of sale, for goodness sake. Help us to buy. And you're not going to do that in a salesy way. You're going to do that again using good human skills and empathy and so on. You may have to be more direct. You know, the three reasons why you might invest in a meeting with us are: you are going to get some advice you can use. You're going to get a roadmap of how you invest $450. And we'll have an opportunity to meet as well and see if we can work together. That I would pay for. As opposed to when we called a law firm in Melbourne recently, having the receptionist quote all the hourly rates of the lawyers in business. And then basically saying, fancy it? Want to speak to anyone now? I mean, we can sit here all day and talk about the wonderful value pricing and subscriptions and all that wonderful stuff, but frankly, if your business can't actually deal with the first point of contact, some of the service basics, of which most service providers are still not being able to do at this level, then really it's game over before you can start. Okay, so obviously that's money. It's not the only thing. It's not the only thing, of course. I'd love to attach B1, G1 to this as well. You know, every converted client. Not only does that give us an opportunity to do our best work with the clients we love to serve, but the community benefits as well. We're certainly just doing this first contact with law firms. We find that teams get excited about just having that first conversation, the opportunity to connect, versus the sound of inconvenience. What a differentiator! What a genuine differentiator! So about $380,000 worth of work was available to this particular law firm, whose tiny proportion of comments I've shown here. $270,000 worth of that work is literally left on the table, not enough done. Only 61K banked, 49,000 literally burned, thrown out the window. Think about all the marketing, think about all the good work that's gone into generating that first contact in the first place. And we're just talking about the first point in the journey, let alone all of those other touch points I showed you earlier. Really exciting, particularly if you can bring your team into this collaborative exercise. That's where, to use this word we've used all the way through, that's where the magic happens. It's a team engagement exercise. You're baking it into your firm. And that's almost impossible for others to replicate. Okay, so really that's all we have time for. But there is, over the years, we know now that there are areas of work, there are components here, the ability to lead it, to find champions within your business, to have a strategy, to invest as much as you do in other areas in the client experience. It's about leading. Then the client's point of view, client sounding, client insight. Then there's lots of new things we actually need to learn to bring this to life. And of course then, innovate. And when innovate is a word that also annoys me. It's a small thing that makes a big difference. It's a change that adds value. It's certainly not technology. I loved someone said yesterday, you know, high tech, yes. This is more about high touch. Tech being, you know, no clients will be asking for a bloody client portal. Before you spend millions on your wonderful client portal, which, by the way, most clients do not then go on and use, or if they had, the people who were using it left about 5 years ago, and now no one else is using it. But really what I want to leave you with is this. 2012 London Olympics, and this concept of games making. Like, you know, people like you and I supporting the wonderful 2012 Olympics, which we were all very successful about. And you know, you and everyday people helping to bring these games to life. And I really want you to think about your role as a games maker in the client's experience, and your team's role as games makers. opportunity to come together and focus on this together, all shape the client experience. I hope that's been helpful.
Not disappointed. UK's lost our game.